While we are gathering the speakers to get ready to come up and address this great crowd, I'd like to ask if everybody could join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
And a brief announcement. Everyone, please stay and speak at the Planning Commission forum starting right after the rally. If you need to leave early, I recommend you fill out the optional Planning Commission speaker registration form and give it to the PC secretary on the second floor of your hall. If you need a form, the people with the email sign-up clipboards have them, or you can get them if you go up the stairs. For those who can't stay late, it's best not to fill out the form, and your turn will come after all the registered speakers go first. Also, if you would kindly sign up. We have an email sign-up sheet to get more information following this event. Is Brenda Pogge here?
Brenda's talking to Sandy.
Maybe Lois.
She's coming. She's coming.
Oh, Brenda's coming.
And where's that sign-up sheet? Coming over to the table.
I don't know.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, introduce a friend of freedom and a friend to many of us here, Delegate Brenda Pogge.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here, and I know there are a lot of people here concerning the issues before the Planning District Committee tonight. I'm here because I represent half of York County, and my half happens to be the majority of the area that's under question. I understand there are both sides to this issue, and truly I'm hoping that both sides can come into agreement surrounding a couple issues, one of which is liberty and justice for all. And so I really view this primarily, anytime there's a downzoning, then it is a reduction of rights and a reduction of choices. And so that's why I'm here tonight, because I'm concerned about all of my constituents, both sides of the issue. One of the issues that came about in all of this, and this has been going on, you all know, since about 2011, and the bottom line and the question that came before the General Assembly was a question not really concerning so much liberty in this particular issue, but whether or not aquaculture is agriculture. And it's a policy issue, not a political issue. And the policy of the state of Virginia now is, yes, aquaculture is agriculture. It's a industry that plants seeds and reaps a harvest, tends a garden. And so it was the right policy to make. The federal policy is aquaculture is agriculture. Two other places in the Virginia State Code, aquaculture is agriculture. And so finally now the state code is consistent. That will be effective January 1st. It should have been effective July 1st, but there was an amendment to push it back. So that's what brought this all to a head. And now there is a scramble to make it such that now that aquaculture is agriculture, that agricultural applications will be taken away from people. That is a concern. I've been studying this issue for a while, and this is there are things going on across the nation concerning the growing of local food, the rights of farmers, the rights of small farmers, and to take away agricultural applications across the county is a pretty draconian decision, and even to take it away in small parts at a time. At one time, all of York County was an agricultural district. At the time that York County was founded, There were watermen and watering communities and agriculture going on. And we can see now by the zoning that little by little, by little by little, it's gone. And that is a concern to me too. And so I don't live in the affected area, and I can't feel about it or as emotionally as some do when it's so close to their home. But you know what? I feel emotional about America, about liberty, and about Yorktown, Virginia. I represent Yorktown and James City County. Both of these places are the beginnings of democracy in the United States. Both of these places have such historical significance. Both of these places represent liberty to all of us. And we in this nation right now are watching our liberties be trampled. We are watching our federal government disregard our Constitution. And that makes me emotional. That makes me sad. That makes me afraid for my children and for my grandchildren. So that's why I'm here tonight. I was going to introduce a good friend of mine named Martha Bonetta. And Martha is a small farmer in Fauquier County. And she began to be targeted because she had a birthday party on her farm for 8 children. And the county came and told her she had to have a special permit for that birthday party. And she didn't have one. She faced fines, she faced retribution, and Martha didn't have a clue going into this that all of this would come about. But last year there was a bill put in called the Bonetta Bill because it was named after Martha. And it was a fight between the localities and the citizens of their locales because of the rights that were being taken away from Martha. Martha lived through probably, even still, it's going on, but for a couple years of pure heck on earth. And she's a very sweet woman, would do anything for anybody. All she wants to do is live on her farm. She moved there to make goat's milk soap and have a few critters and animals and grow organic tomatoes. And now she is really the face of a liberty movement in Virginia. And she was going to be here tonight, but her mother is deathly ill. And so she decided to stay home, but she did send a letter. And I'm going to read the letter to you. And actually, I haven't read the whole letter myself, so I should have read it. Can you hear me? Can all of you hear me? So, I'm going to read the letter from Martha because she was scheduled to be here as a speaker.
Closer.
Ready?
There you go. Yeah.
I feel empowered. Please pardon that I'm not there in person to meet and speak to all of you today in Yorktown, the birthplace of liberty and freedom. I grew up in Mount Vernon on what we were told growing up was a part of George Washington's vast farmland, with a great love and appreciation for Virginia's rich agricultural heritage. It was there my dream to be a Virginia farmer was born. My dream was born. But I never imagined there would be miles of regulations and red tape that would interfere. I know all too well the suffering that comes from having to defend property rights, economic freedom, and the American dream. And I have the scars to prove it. I had to learn quickly to be brave and bold, and despite the constant fear, to never give up. I've also learned that mean people are alive and well. I know what it is like to be a target just because I wanted to protect my family farm and the freedom of all small family farmers across the Commonwealth. My family and I have endured false witness directed at me and us, and I have been called every name in the book. It should not be the case that when Americans or Virginians stand up to protect the family farm, they are bullied and intimidated by their county government. And it should never be the case that a farmer or any Virginian has to lose everything fighting against overregulation. If we are not constantly fighting passionately and zealously to protect our freedoms and liberty, we will surely see them disappear in our lifetime. As Ronald Reagan said, if not now, then when? If not us, then who? I am so deeply honored and grateful for the thousands of Virginians that stood with me from every corner of the Commonwealth in support of legislation to protect small family farmers. It is because of all of you that SB 51, the Freedom to Farm Without Fear, was signed by our 72nd governor and would become law on July 1st, 2014. It is a testament to how much Virginians cherish and treasure our small family farmers. It is also a powerful statement about how we the people together move mountains. The bill she references is not the bill that is being disputed now, but the bill that she references is not the bill we're talking about that affects this, but her bill does too. And so that's why she's referenced SB 51 in support of small farms. So General Assembly did several acts this year to try to protect citizens from overreach of local government. It is a testament to how much Virginians cherish and treasure our small family farms. It is also a powerful statement about how we the people can move mountains, but our battle's not over. Friends, we're losing our small family farmers, and it is unacceptable that a county would deliberately try to manipulate the property rights and economic freedoms of the York farming community. I want to leave you with the idea of the power of one. That is that one person, one thought, one passion, one vision, and dream can truly change the course of history. In short, never, ever give up. Together all things are possible, and we can protect the oyster farmers as well. Farmers like Anthony and Greg from being over-regulated into extinction. We are at a critical time in our history as Americans and Virginians. I don't want anyone else to have to suffer the way my family and I have just because we wanted to farm in peace on the land I love. I ask you to stand with me in support of protecting the rights of farmers in York County and to be unshakable in defending property rights, economic liberty, and the American dream. Thank you, and God bless you all. Martha Bonetta.
Hear it for Martha.
All right, thank you everyone for being here. Love those drums.
Can't hear you.
Sound of freedom.
That's it.
My name is Anthony Bavuso. I am a robotics engineer turned oyster farmer. Our farm is out at the very end of Crab Neck and Seaford. Tonight we are here to protest the largest land grab I have seen in the 38 years I have lived in York County. These proposals represent an assault on the York County we love and show the true objective of our Board of Supervisors, to turn York County into York City. Our founding fathers fought and many died on the very ground we now stand. They fought for liberties to farm our land that are being threatened as we speak. George Washington, who walked these fields 233 years ago, grew up on a farm in the rural northern neck of Virginia. He studied crop rotation and helped introduce modern agriculture into the United States. He is noted to have said, "I would rather be on my farm than be emperor of the world." He sold his produce from his land as part of his livelihood. Thomas Jefferson, another famous Virginia farmer, wrote, "The cultivators of the earth are the most valuable citizens. They are the most rigorous, the most independent, the most virtuous, and they are tied to their country and wedded to its liberties and interests by the most lasting of bonds." Jefferson also sold crops from his farms to maintain his livelihood. And he wrote, "I think our governments will remain virtuous for many centuries as long as they are chiefly agricultural." I was born and raised in this county, and as I've grown and watched this county grow, with shiny new big box stores full of stuff to buy, stoplights that were once tree stands, I remember the garden my mom used to have. Still work? All right. After my son was born, I wanted him to have some of those experiences too. I remember the tales from John Smith of the oyster reefs so large that you could walk far from land on them. I have learned that oysters were once so abundant that they filtered the entire bay waters in a week's time. The oyster population is down to just 1% of the pre-colonial era, with declining water quality as a result. As I looked out onto the waters of my backyard, I resolved to do something to help. And I learned that oyster farming can both clean the water of the bay and provide a tasty meal. I founded, with the help of my wife and family, Seaford Oyster Company with the goal of saving the bay one oyster at a time. My farm does no harm. Now, I have been told that my labors to preserve one of the nation's greatest estuaries is against our county governmental regulations. despite the fact that I obey all of the state health codes in the planting, counting, and harvesting of these oysters, and because I bring bags of oysters the size of a potato sacks off my boat into a cooler in my pickup truck. I work to keep my pier neat, my growing areas clean, not just because I care about my home, but because of the added benefit of making the oysters grow faster. The upweller that runs constantly to care the baby oysters is nothing more than an aquarium pump, hardly louder than the one I have in my son's bedroom for a fish tank. I sell the oysters still in shells, so there are no piles of shells laying around. I've striven to be a good neighbor, not just locally, but to all of those who sail the bay's waters and reap its benefits. And instead of being recognized and lauded for our efforts, we have been dogged by administrative hassles and harassed by York County zoning police in what appears to be very much like a personal vendetta of our county government. Jefferson knew that agriculture of all types ties our land and makes us useful to our country. He wrote, "When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." He would be turning in his grave. He would be turning in his grave to hear of the government's unwarranted actions against local farmers in York County. York County is the home of America's future since 1781, as a quote from their website. To what future does the county aspire if it bans the peaceful pursuits of its citizens? What justification do the supervisors have for removing our property rights? Our founders knew the dangers of unfettered government. Jefferson wrote, "I think myself that we have more machinery of government than necessary, too many parasites living on the labors of the industrious. It is time for the ticks to be plucked off our children and their inheritance. What the board is doing is wrong. Telling families they can't raise eggs and sell them at the farmers markets is wrong. Telling families they can't grow strawberries to make jam at a bake sale is wrong.
Amen.
Telling a farmer that he can't have a pumpkin patch for local school kids to buy pumpkins in the fall is wrong.
Amen.
Telling a neighbor that he can't sell watermelons or zucchini to local restaurants is
It's
wrong.
wrong.
No farms, no freedom. The state of Virginia has dealt with government tyranny before. One only has to look at our flag and our state motto to know how we Virginians feel about it. While the members of the Board of Supervisors certainly don't deserve death for their tyranny, they also don't deserve office if they're going to blatantly abuse their authority as they have done repeatedly over the past 3 years. They've made laws that have contradicted the state's Right to Farm Act, and then when the legislature clarified the law in its latest session to make absolutely clear the county was wrong, they refused to admit their mistake and take appropriate action to correct it. Instead, they have scrambled to change their zoning in an attempt to still get their way, trampling on the rights of many while targeting just a few. I'm asking tonight for our citizens and leaders to act on the principles set forth in the founding of this country, the principles of liberty, private industry, and the right of people to farm their land, to bring jobs to this area and support our economy. Tell your representatives what you think about this job-killing regulation. Our founding fathers, many of whom walked these very grounds, fought for these liberties. We will do the same. We will not go quietly. Benjamin Franklin stated, "They who give up essential liberties to obtain temporary safety desire neither liberty nor safety." And Abraham Lincoln wrote, "Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves." Please call or write your representatives or speak at the Planning Commission and ask them to uphold the state law and stop trying to steal our rights from us. Remind them that it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you.
Amen.
Hi, my name is Mary Leadham, and I'm actually going to speak for someone else, but before I start, I'm just going to say that I personally am appalled at what the Board of Supervisors is now trying to do to our property. I find it unjust and an illegal abuse of power, and I want to know what gives the Board of Supervisors the right to pick and choose which citizens to punish. They're going to punish those that say no? Yes. Okay, well, look, Ruby Barbo, who is a King George County supervisor, wanted to focus on what officials are supposed to do to serve their citizens. So I'm going to read something she wrote. As elected officials, we have a very important job, and that is to be the voice for the citizens whom we represent. Our position is not to be used for personal agendas. Learning about the rezoning issue occurring in York County has caused me concern. Rezoning should only occur when it can be shown to be of benefit to the citizens of the entire county. If citizens have purchased property based on certain property rights afforded to them and will now have those rights stripped away through rezoning, then I am not sure that those citizens are being properly represented. I encourage the citizens of York County to become engaged on this topic, because next time it is just might be your property that the supervisors will consider rezoning.
We're taught that we live in a free country. Does this feel like freedom to anyone? No! Yorktown, right over that hill right there, is where America won its freedom. Jamestown would not even survive if it wasn't for agriculture. And the board of York County wants to rezone your land so you don't have the right to grow a tomato or an oyster and sell it to your neighbor. The opposition says there's a smell, that Anthony's smelling everybody out. Well, you should try to go and smell a confined animal feedlot if you want to smell real smell. So anyway, small farmers are being driven off their land by their neighbors under the disguise of freedom. So anyway, I have a good friend and a World War II veteran who once told me that he was overseas fighting the communists, and we just let him move over here. So anyway, I really applaud Anthony Bovuso and Greg Garrett for actually standing up against tyranny. And I also applaud And anyway, I just am kind of encouraging you all to stand up against tyranny and send them back across the ocean where they came from. Thank you very much.
Mark, you're up.
My name is Mark Fitzgibbons, and it's great to see everybody here. Martha Bonetta is my friend, and I became her friend after hearing that she was charged by Fauquier County with violating the law for having a birthday party. Martha wanted to be here very bad. Her mother has been battling cancer and took a very bad turn recently, and she sends her love and praise for everybody who showed up. I also got a call from Jamie Radke, who wanted to be here tonight, and her son is sick, and so she sends her regards and wishes she could be here. When I found out that Fauquier County charged Martha Bonetta with violating the law for having a birthday party, I reached into my bag of tricks, because I'm a lawyer. I fight bureaucrats all the time, and quite frankly, I tell them, you're violating the Constitution. The Constitution is the law, you're breaking the law. And they say to me, so sue me. The original Bonetta bill, introduced in 2013, had a provision for remedies, that if local governments use zoning powers to violate constitutional rights and violate the rights of farmers, counties could be sued. You know what? What happens to all of us? We all follow the law, don't we? We respect the law, and when we don't, there are consequences. What happens when government breaks the law? And the Constitution.
Nothing.
Right.
They say we break the law all the time.
The Constitution is the law, and when they violate our rights, there must be consequences. The bills that were enacted this year are marvelous. They are huge steps forward. The next step, because counties are already evading the law, and they are doing so by violating the constitutional rights of farmers on land and farmers near the sea. The next step is we need remedies to provide consequences. Not because we want to sue our friends or sometimes our family members and our church members in our local community, but to make them think twice before they violate our constitutional rights. Next legislative session, we need a remedies bill, and Martha Bonetta, Jamie Radke, all of us will be behind that bill, and I hope all of you will be too. Thank you very much for taking time out for freedom today.
Hello, my name is Anthony Rydell, and I'm challenging Congressman Rob Whitman in the Republican primary. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just a few feet from where men and women died for our rights. We are very close to the birthplace, the cradle of liberty in North America. And what we're seeing firsthand on not only this local level, but this state level, and on a national level, a federal government, a state and local government, eroding away at our rights.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a stand, and I applaud you for taking a stand today, because I'd like to see a Board of Supervisor tell George Washington what he can and can't do on his property. I like to see a Board of Supervisor tell Thomas Jefferson what he can and cannot do on his own property.
That's right.
Or Patrick Henry, or George Mason, or all the other statesmen and women who have served our country and our Commonwealth for the liberties that we enjoy today. So ladies and gentlemen, I applaud you for taking up the fight. But don't worry, if we lose tonight, and if we lose tomorrow, and if I lose my election, we all need to continue to fight. I tell you right now, before I ran for when I'm running, I was the most introverted person you'd ever meet. But I was compelled to take a stand because I was dissatisfied with the representation that I was receiving in Washington. And ladies and gentlemen, somewhere in this crowd, if the Board of Supervisors does not listen to us tonight, there is a reluctant candidate in this crowd to challenge them. Ladies and gentlemen, challenge them all. And if we lose, we must continue to fight, because if we rely on ourselves, and if we rely on each other, and if we rely on God, liberty will prevail. Thank you. Had to happen on my watch, huh? A little closer? All right. Is this good?
Yeah.
Everybody, my name is Zave Draper, and I'm running as the Libertarian candidate for 1st Congressional District. Thank you. I know we've got some differences of party opinion, but I fully support what Mr. Rydell is doing, and he has my utmost support up until this primary, and I wish him very well. And I do wish he would win, because wouldn't it be nice to have a greater of two goods to pick from instead of the lesser of two evils, for example?
Amen.
When I heard about this rally, this was where I had to be, because defending individual rights against your government. I mean, the government should not be out here targeting individuals or small groups. It's the government's job to defend individuals and small groups, not the other way around.
Right. Not anymore.
So I just want to say this falls into, very much into our platform, and we will keep this on our radars, property rights. I love these signs, no farms, no freedoms. My grandparents had a farm back in Tennessee. I understand what this means to the local folks. Now, I do not have the privilege of living here in Yorktown. I'm a Newport News resident, but I must say I really like the climate here, and I especially like these people. So let me close out and just say thanks for giving me a chance to speak with you tonight, and I look forward to seeing more of y'all in the future.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So good to see everybody out here tonight. First off, I want to apologize to everybody that lives in York County that you are caught in the crossfire of what's happening for a couple of oyster farmers. There's absolutely no excuse that you're having to do this. You're having to be here. There's no excuse in the fight that you're having to wage, and that your property rights are at risk because of the attack on two individual property owners that are doing no harm. That's right. It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. In Virginia, there are 11 absolutes that I'm aware of. Don't blaspheme my God. Don't talk about my mama. Don't mess with my spouse. Been married to mine 34 years. You better not. Don't hurt my sister. I don't have one, but if I did, don't mess with her either. Don't touch my daughter. Don't lie about my friends. There's been a lot of lying going on in this situation. Don't take my gun. That's right. Yeah. Don't scratch my truck. Don't kick my dog. Yeah. Don't call me a Yankee. And do not try to tell me what I can and cannot do with my own private land. In other words, amen, number 12. In other words, removing property rights is wrong, and that's why you're out here tonight. I remember being an 8-year-old boy, and my brother and I set up a seafood stand in front of my grandmother's house. My dad didn't always have the gas money to put in the boat, and we figured this was going to be a creative way to always have gas money for our little boat to go skiing and fishing. And we set up this we got a poster board, and we had crabs and clams and shrimp and all kinds of stuff out on Chesapeake Avenue in Hampton. Today, if my grandchildren tried to do that, would they be arrested?
Yes.
How have we created a society that is so great and so grand and so wonderful that we need all these additional restrictions and regulations? Do we not know if we buy a shrimp or clams from an 8-year-old kid that maybe it's not quite as clean as if it came from the grocery store? Or maybe it's cleaner.
Yeah.
Let us decide. Let us be responsible for ourselves.
Right.
This is not about my family oyster farm or Anthony's family oyster farm. Please don't get this misunderstood. It's not about us. It isn't about oysters, tomatoes, or chickens, or pigs, or anything else. This is about the government abuse and power and authority. It's about standing up against government officials that are taking out personal vendettas against citizens that they disagree with. This is not the way to run the government. Maybe the York County Board of Supervisors agree with Karl Marx, who said the very idea of private property makes people selfish and greedy, wanting to be left alone to farm our land and use our private property in harmless ways is the American way. It is not greed. Removing property rights is wrong. The government itself is really not the problem. But if left unchecked, it's some of the people that control the government that are the problem. Our government is here to ensure freedoms, not remove them. To protect us, not punish us. To bring justice, not personal retaliation. To bring order to our society, not dominion over our families. To secure our liberties, not remove them. Supervisors, and tonight at 7 o'clock, in about 20 minutes, the planning commissioners, one of which has an oyster farm, by the way, legally sanctioned by York County.
He's exempt. Oh, he's exempt.
Let us tell them
No, I'm exempt.
that they are here to do the right thing by us. That rezoning our land and removing our existing rights is the wrong path for York County. Now, this is the active part. I have a few questions for you guys. Are we going to sit quietly and let the York County Board of Supervisors take away our existing right to farm our own land?
No!
Are we going to allow laws to be passed that won't allow our children and grandchildren to set up vegetable stands in our front yards?
No!
Are we going to accept them telling us that we can't have chickens to feed our families or our neighbors' children?
No!
Are we going to allow these rulers to tell us how many dogs and cats we can have?
No!
Are we going to allow them to completely destroy the already decimated seafood industry by not allowing our waterfront neighbors to tie up their little workboats at their own personal private docks?
No!
Are we going to allow the supervisors to keep hiring so many people to monitor and control the activities that we do on our own private land that they have to raise taxes again, as they did 2 years ago, 12.7% in the middle of a recession?
No!
Are we going to sit quietly back while they raise our taxes so much that our elderly neighbors and our friends on fixed or reduced incomes have to move in with family or move out of York County?
No!
If we don't turn York County and Virginia around, if we keep electing rulers to rule over us, we're going to owe every past generation since the 1600s a huge apology, and every future generation an even greater apology. We cannot sit back. We have to risk the punishment of the unfair rulers. We have to fight against unfair laws and unfair lawmakers. We must sacrifice our comforts and risk our reputations to restore the America that our forefathers fought and died to create. I know no other way. Thank you for being here tonight. And please say with me one more time, removing property rights is wrong. Removing property rights is wrong. Removing property rights is wrong. God bless you for being here, and I hope to see you inside.
All right, everyone. So the Planning Commission will be starting here at 7. Everyone will be able to have an opportunity to speak. If you need to leave early, it might be best to fill out one of the registration forms. You don't have to. If you don't fill out one of the forms, there will be an opportunity for you to speak at the end. And thank you, everyone, for being here, and God bless your county.
She sees Robert. I know.
Mary. One more announcement is we have an email sign-up sheet going around. Mary's got it. Please sign up because this is only the first of several meetings. They don't actually make the decision tonight. The board will make that decision, so we'll have to coordinate by email with dates and times. So Mary Leadham has got the sign-up clipboard. See her and give her your email address. Thank you.
Let me get this up. Would you like me to get on all fours and just use my back? 9 o'clock tomorrow. 9 o'clock tomorrow, right? Are you going to be up with your bad back?
I'm up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think you did a great job. What do you think?
I think this was a great rally, and we want to get back behind Anthony Bavuzzo and Greg Garrett and all the people that are fighting for their rights in the York County, Virginia.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I see it's your
Oh, isn't it? Look at that. So cut 8 inches off.
Hey.
Oh, that's fantastic. Removing rights is wrong.
Are you having any more rallies? Do you want to use it?
We will be having more rallies. If you want to just leave it in the white pickup truck,
Okay.
we'll definitely use it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Is that your daughter?
No.
I have farmed forever, and I just think it's wrong. I go fishing at my grandma's, and then I come here, and I say, what the heck? Why can't we do it? So,
Farms are made in America. All right.
Farms and to grow oysters, and they tell you it's going to endanger us. The water is made pure by the oysters, and it builds better seabed for the other fish. Ridiculous. I don't live here, so I'm sorry I can't. I'm going to put my name on it.
Save our property rights. Down the drain. Oh, that's cool. You got anything you want to say?
I love our country. I love Greg Garrett. Love God. Love orphans. Love good business.
Amen.
I would support all of that. That's why I'm here. I'm not from here. I'm actually from Smithfield area.
Okay. Cool.
No, they don't.